when it comes to the sprinters and the jumpers, for me, that's when you're looking at it like, what's the stuff that you kind of like go through your programming and you go, if I only get three of these, what's the three that have to stay? Okay. Those three have to stay. Okay. Now I get three more. And it's like, if I have an ideal situation, this will make it a really, really good program. And then you go down to the third category and it's like, if I have to cut three things right now because I'm only going to have 30 minutes, what am I going to cut? And that like has helped me like as I program to be like, okay, necessary, good, and can move the needle. But if I can't get to it, then like if we're in such a big pinch, this will be cut. Okay, if I lose 15 minutes in my session, I kind of go in like 15, 20-minute blocks of like, if X, then Y, if X, then Y. And it's like the things that typically get cut will be not to say like it's not important, but like the 3-ray band ankle in like as a kind of like a rest period or like an active rest, or the some of the ab work sometimes, or even just like say like some of the smaller cuff work that everyone does versus like the more, I don't want to say specific, but the more event specific kind of stuff where it's like some of them only get this because they do this, versus everyone's going to have this piece. And that's like, you'll kind of see those towards the tail end of the lift and like the C and D blocks versus like the A and B blocks. Whereas like I'm never going to cut my explosive block unless everyone just got absolutely annihilated, which for the
You're
most
the
part,
coach
like,
now.
yeah, like I know that that's not going to happen. So I know that's not getting cut. I'm not going to cut my compound movement, whether that be an upper body press pull, lower body hinge, or a lower body like press or knee extension. Like those aren't getting cut. What I might cut is maybe like the secondary, like knee dominant uh, hamstring work. If that's the case, because I've already got it, and I'm like, I don't need to load it as much, or we're running out of time, or like I know they got fried a little bit. It's not worth it. Cut that piece, or even just cut a set out. So I'm honestly more concerned about cutting the volume on something than I am cutting the exercise, which is a little bit weird, um, in the sense of like it's I've always preached like how you load something is much more important than what you load, to where it's like maybe the exercise itself isn't as important as you believe, but I'm like, okay, if I still want to expose them to different patterns and different things, if I just cut a set off the last five things on the card, we can still hit on that and probably touch enough to get some kind of simulation from it without overbearing and like overloading that localized tissue damage. So that's probably where I'm going to aim, is like, what does my total tonnage look like? What does my volume look like? And my focus is kind of gone on paper. It looks like, oh, you're trying to keep all your exercises, versus it's like, no, I'm trying to limit the load. And it's very easy to limit the load by removing the exercises. But it's like, at the same time, is my compound too much because I have 6 to 7 sets? Well, maybe I cut that from 6 to 7 down to 4 to 5. And now I've reduced enough of the total like global stress to where everything else can remain. I'm just limiting a little piece. I'm not cutting that exercise. We're going to keep it. I'm just making it a little bit less volume. Or maybe I knock down some intensity coming from like the point of, hey, I just watched everyone jump coming in the weight room, 2 inches below what their standard norm is or their normative value is. Okay, well, I just need to reduce some load, and we're going to move it maybe with a little bit lighter emphasis, focus more on like just the speed or the quality of the movement instead. So like coming from like the load perspective, I think that's like where I've spent a lot more time like sifting through the noise, like going through the kind of dusting everything off, and looking a little bit deeper than just the exercise itself. But if I have to go from like an exercise perspective, and I'm like, it's necessary that I keep the load on this because it's part of the progression, then I'm going to look like, okay, what can I remove that's like smaller or more isolation work that won't be a physical adherence if it's not here this week, but it's okay to have next week in that sense.